When, when you look at where they want to take us, which is into this centralized global dictatorship, then you look at the main technique that they use to take us there. I gave it a name a long time ago now: problem, reaction, solution. Dead simple, devastating. At stage one, you create a problem. You blame someone or something else for it to hide the fact that you're really behind it. You then, through an unquestioning and pathetic media, tell the people the version of the problem you want them to believe. What you want at stage two is the reaction to the problem from the people. Fear, outrage, something must be done. It could be a war, it could be a terrorist attack, like the Mossad American intelligence operation known as 9/11. It could be an economic collapse, whatever. Whatever problem you need to be allowed you to go to stage three of problem, reaction, solution, which is to offer the solutions to the problems you have covertly created and blame someone or something else for it. And those solutions are constantly advancing your agenda to this centralized global dictatorship that I'm talking about. So when you crash the global economy, and when you're moving trillions and trillions of dollars around the world economy every day, as this network is, you decide if it goes up or down. Nobody else does, you do. And therefore, you can create an economic collapse at will. That's what they did in 2008, and they've gone on with it since. And the idea is that that problem is then offered a solution. And people like the Rothschild-controlled bagman and billionaire George Soros, one of the major funders, by the way, into existence of MoveOn.org, which is trying to move in, this Democratic Party-owned, cabal-owned operation, moving in on the Wall Street protests and stuff like that. You can then offer the solutions that Soros and others are offering, which are what? To solve this economic global crash, we need a world central bank. Stands back in amazement. I'm shocked. Knock me down with a feather and I shall swoon. It's so blatant, it's so callable, it's an open book once you do the research and you realize where this is going. And so, it's so vital as we've reached this point, this cusp where so many people have gone through or are going through this process now, where they're saying, I'm a slave and I'm not having it. And then they go to the next stage, which is what we're starting to see. It's so important that they don't allow themselves to be pawns, genuine pawns, unknowing pawns, but pawns all the same, in a manipulation that then takes us on to the next stage of an even greater financial and human enslavement than we've had up to this point. Because this is a vital area. It's vital not to get focused and obsessed with corporations and banks and all that stuff. It's about control. It's about human control. And the form it takes doesn't matter to these people. They just want the form that brings most control. Now, in the process of doing this, they've reached a point where the control has been going on through a banking system, private banking system, controlled by these families and their networks, and through corporations controlled by the same families and these networks. I mean, I keep seeing people say, we must have an end to capitalism. We don't have capitalism. We have cartelism. It's like J.D. Rockefeller said, competition is a sin. We have an oil cartel, a pharmaceutical cartel, a biotech cartel, on and on it goes. And these are the cartels of these families. This is how they control and dictate at this point. But they want to go to the ultimate level of human control, where they don't have corporations, so we know them anymore. And so if we can get caught in, yeah, get rid of the corporations, I'm all for that. But the question is, to be replaced by what? And this is the structure they want. They want the world government, the world central bank, the world currency, the world army to implement the will of the world government, and then they want the world government ministries. Read 1984. George Orwell, real name Eric Blair, wasn't coming from his imagination. He had access to the projected agenda through the Fabian Society. Exactly the same Fabian Society that Aldous Huxley was a member of, and thus had the inside knowledge to write a prophetic novel called Brave New World. They were coming from knowledge of what the projection was. Huxley, it seems, supporting it, and Orwell not supporting it, trying to expose it. But it's still the same source of where it came from. This has been going on for so long. What they want is the world government and then the World Ministry of Oil, which would take over all the oil corporations, all the oil infrastructure, all the oil finance, everything. They want a world ministry of health that would take over all the pharmaceuticals and encompass what is now the World Health Organization, a Rockefeller Rothschild creation, by the way. They want a world ministry of trade that would encompass the World Trade Organization and dictate global trade from a central point. A world ministry of this, a world ministry of biotech, and all the rest of it. And so they want to absorb the corporations as they are now into these ministries for the ultimate global dictatorship. And the same people behind the banking system now and the corporations now will be controlling the world government and the ministries. But the same thing, but it will go on to a much higher level and a much more coordinated level of human control. So, they will want people, protesters against the outrageous injustices and grotesque actions and behavior of the corporations, to call for the end of the corporations, call for the end of the banks. Yes, fine. But we have to dictate what replaces them. Diversity from the center. Control that people have of their own lives in their own communities, not what they want. And what I have to say, speaking now, I'm seeing happening around the world in these protests, having the cabal you were protesting against dictating what this stuff is replaced by. If we go there, more and more centralization of power, we'll live in a global fascist state within 10 years. Our children and grandchildren will live a lifetime bloody nightmare. Or we can go this way and saying we want power from the center to people in their communities. So no central cabal can dictate the lives of everyone in a country or a state, never mind everybody on the bloody planet. And one final thing. You know, these organizations that move in, like moveon.org, I mean, I wish the bloody would, sooner the bloody better, that are Soros funded and Democrat Party controlled, and all these people. And then I mean, if people, you know, a lot of the people in the protests, if they hear this bit, they'll be going, boo, what are you doing? Because I've seen them do it to people. Global warming caused by humans is a bloody giant hoax. It's been created to justify dramatic changes in society and control in society to advance this very agenda I'm talking about. Because if you're playing problem, reaction, solution, and you want, therefore, to present global change, you've got to generate global problems to which you can offer global solutions. Climate change. Everyone's affected. We need global laws. What's international law, by the way? Oh, international law. International law is law that everyone on the planet is supposed to obey. This is the world government international law coming into place. Anyone does a modicum of basic scientific research, they will see that human-caused climate change, notice it's climate change since temperatures started falling. When they go up again in the sun cycle, it will be global warming again. But do a modicum of research and you find that the whole idea was a scam. Anything that Al Gore's involved is a scam by definition. He knows nothing else. And yet, we're having these organizations like, was it 350.org? And these others, oh yes, we must have climate change legislation. Yes, come on, build me prison a bit more. Give me some carbon tax. Let's have it, high five. Because that's the way we've got to solve the problem. The way we solve the problem, we take our freaking minds back and stop having them dictated by other people. You must believe this, you must believe that. And you know, again, this might upset a few people. Do you know I don't care? When I see around some of these protests, someone on a microphone speaking the words and then everyone repeats the sentence, then he says another sentence and everyone repeats the sentence, and we want freedom. People say to me, oh yeah, but that's giving everyone a voice. No, it's not. It's giving them the right to repeat what he's saying. It's not giving them a voice. It's turning them into groupthink, which is how we got into this mess. Individual think, unique think. That is what will get us out of it. Breaking out of these patterns of collective response and behavior. So I'm not interested in 350.org. Take your bloody nonsense about climate bloody change and go somewhere else. We're trying to bring about real change here, not selling another aspect of a global agenda. And move on .org and everyone like you go and do your bloody work somewhere else. Take your Soros money somewhere else. This is going to be a revolution that's going to make a difference. It's going to be a revolution of people, not organizations, not cooperating with their own enslavement, individually, and yes, together, collectively. This is a great opportunity to make a difference. But we need to get streetwise, and we need to get these parasites of the genuine energy of the people who've concluded, I'm a slave and I'm not having it, out of this whole deal. Because if we don't, they'll take it over and they'll do what every other one has done when it seems like some change is taking place. Look at Obama. Change, I stand for change. No, you don't. You stand for business as usual, and then some, as we've seen. It's just a word. Real change happens in changing real lives, not in spouting the fricking syllables change or change. One syllable, two syllable, one syllable. It doesn't bloody matter, does it? Because when Obama says it, it could be 50 bloody syllables. Nothing's going to change for the better, because he ain't there to do that. So we have to do it. Come on, let's go.